I would say. The most complicated opening I have seen in a World Championship. Gukesh starts with knight f3. Ding replies with d5, expecting a regular reti game. But then Gukesh plays the reti gambit, c4. Very rarely played at the top level. It's playable, but it loses the advantage of being white because after d4, black has more center control than white. So Gukesh is taking huge risk in the opening and is going full in, and he's trying to win game 11. And at this late stage, whoever wins will have a huge chance to win the match itself. This was Gukesh's like best chance in the match because game 13 was the only white game left for Gukesh, and that would be like huge risk if he plays risky chess there. So game 11 is where he goes all in because even if he loses, he has three more opportunities to come back. So Gukesh goes for this complicated opening, the Reti Gambit, in a very wild fashion. So after d4, Gukesh plays b4. That's the idea of the Reti Gambit. You're gaining space on the queen side, but by allowing black to push his pawn in the center. Ding replies with the most popular move, c5, cementing his pawn chain and attacking white's pawn structure. So after c5, e3 by Gukesh, knight f6. Gukesh is playing very fast, it's all prep. Knight f6, pawn a3, he cements his pawn structure on the queen side. Bishop g4 by Ding, and Gukesh takes on d4, takes back, and h3, challenging the bishop. Bishop takes, queen takes. So what is the result of the opening? Basically, this looks very nice on the queen side, and these pawns, if they can go forward later, it will be great. But white is behind in development a little bit, and queen has come out early. Opponent Ding plays queen c7, attacking the pawn, but it's defended, and pawn d3. I mean, it was defending this pawn. There was a threat on d7. So pawn to d3, and now Ding strikes at the pawn chain again on the queen side with a5. Gukesh pushes the pawn. This was a little bit positional concession because you lose full control of the c5 square, and that comes back to haunt Gukesh a few moves later. So after b5, Ding immediately pounces with knight d7, preparing to jump to c5. Here, this is where Gukesh took more than 1 hour of thought. He was playing all the moves fast till now. He had 1 hour 59 minutes, and here he took 1 hour 7 minutes to think, to figure out how to deal with this, because the position has become good for Ding, right? Because you get full control of c5 after e6, bishop here. This knight can jump to e5, knight d7, e5. Position is just too good positionally because of this hold on c5, and white's pieces are not able to come out because of the pawn. So by taking that risk, Gukesh has got himself into hot soup. Ding enjoys the position here. Gukesh spends time and finds out the best plan to hold on. He plays g3, preparing to bring the bishop out with counterplay. At least get the king out of there, right? So g3, knight to c5, normal, right? Knight b3 is a threat, right? Somewhat a threat, but Gukesh has already figured it out. He plays bishop to g2. The idea being, if knight to b3, you take on b7. You sacrifice the exchange, and then you will also have takes, and then bishop c6 check, and you get back the knight. So at the cost of an exchange, you will have one pawn and pass pawns here, two pass pawns. So that Ding cannot go to. So after bishop to g2, knight came to d7, preparing to jump to e5. Position is still very good for Ding. Like technically, computer would say it's like 0-0-0. But positionally, black has practically very good chances. Like he's got a great position, like a dream position. Ding didn't even have to do anything. Gukesh took the risk and gave Ding the good position he wanted. Now, castles by Gukesh. Still, knight b3 is not a problem because now it's not even a fork. Bishop is defended and b7 will hang. But Ding, of course, goes for knight e5. Where do we move the king? You have some options: queen d5, queen f4. He goes for queen f4, which is fine. It is live actually. It is live. Hi Soham. This is a live stream. The game ended like 2 hours back, but we are analyzing it now. I believe right now. Okay. So queen to f4, and now Ding brings his rook to d8. Still a great position for Ding, and Gukesh plays rook d1. kind of defending the pawn, sort of. If knight takes pawn, rook will take. This knight is pinned, right? So here, queen b8 is one option, going out of the pin. Rook will be defending it. Then this again becomes a threat. That was one option. So after rook d1, this is the first critical moment of this game. This is where the game changes. The game completely changes with this move. Hello, Anurag. h5, not yet, not yet. So here, queen b8 is still possible. The most natural move is actually the best move. So pawn e6. Just continuing with the plan, develop your pieces, castle, enjoy the position with e6, bishop d6. Where do you park your queen after e6 and bishop d6? d3 pawn will fall. There is no active way to defend the d3 pawn. But Ding, instead of playing e6, made a surprising choice. g6. The computer doesn't like it. But Gukesh has only one good way to take advantage of g6. The point, I think he wants to play h5 and bishop h6 and almost trap the queen. But before he does that, Gukesh plays the only move to get a small advantage, a4, preparing bishop to a3. So after h5, bringing the bishop out, h5, bishop a3. So I'll show you a sample line here. If h5 happens, bishop a3, now bishop to h6, queen will go to h4. There is no, the pin is gone, right? Which means black should be able to take the pawn. But black cannot, because white will play b6. When the queen goes back, I mean you can play b6, one move back also. Queen b8, and now you cannot take. Like after queen b8, if you take the pawn, we'll just take back. And knight can't take because checkmate. That is the point of this bishop. So it changes the dynamics of the position. So let's go a little bit back. h5 wasn't played, queen was on f4 and bishop is here. So that is the problem with g6. It was too slow. It made a piece go from controlling c5 to away, where it is looking like here. He's bringing it to a good diagonal, but it's too late. So here, after a4, Ding played h5. He continued with this plan. Gukesh plays b6 first, which is also fine, right? Gukesh plays b6. If queen b8, we go back to bishop a3, and the same line happens. Ding plays queen d6, little more stable, right? Gukesh goes for bishop a3, and now of course Ding goes bishop h6. But now the position is very different. Gukesh has now got a chance to have a stable advantage, and he does that with the symbol bishop takes c5, queen takes back, and just queen e4. Now compare this position to like 5 moves back. Gukesh was totally gone. If Ding had played e6, there was no chance for Gukesh, no counterplay, and black would have been just all over Gukesh. But Ding misses that. He plays g6, and in doing so, he has given Gukesh a good chance to fight. Like he has got a small stable advantage here. Computer still says 0, 0, 0. It's actually 0.1, but you can see the position. Knight can come here, rook can come here, rook can come up, knight can come to b5. Everything looks very harmonious here. Gukesh has no problems. So now he, after queen e4, knight c6, heading to b4, knight a3, Ding plays rook d7, knight b5 is coming, but no, knight c2. Gukesh shows very good understanding of the position. He stops knight b4, one, kind of stops it, and d4 is still weak. So knight c2, queen takes the free pawn. But now rook comes to b1. Here comes the point of knight c2. You see, now if knight b4, you can take, queen up, a5 is coming, and the pawn will fall with active rooks for white. So knight b4 is no longer possible for black. It will be winning for Gukesh if knight b4. That is why this knight c2 was so important. So now after rook b1, the queen went to c7. Gukesh takes the game into his hands with rook b5. A very nice rook lift. Keeping an eye on a5, preparing c5. The knight can again jump to good squares. The rook will be active as well. Yeah, we'll get there. Soham. So rook to b5. So now that we look at the position, you can see white has got a very good comfortable situation. Ding castles. But you see, queen is active for white, rook is active, this rook can come here or here, bishop is active, knight needs to find a good square, right? And guess what Gukesh found for that knight? Normally you would play rook b1, right? Activating the rook. Or you would bring the rook here or here. Gukesh plays a Carlsen-like move. Normally Carlsen plays these weird moves which are actually good, but others don't think of it. Gukesh plays knight a1. Now when you see it, it seems very natural. Knight wants to come to b3 and c5. Right? What is more natural than that? But when you see it, it's a little awkward. Knight a1, very good move. Rook to b8, defending the weak pawn. Knight jumps in. The position is still okay for Ding. And here Ding makes a small mistake. He had to play rook d6. Kind of preparing rook e6, pushing the queen away. That would have given him some play. But he goes pawn e6. Now position is really good for Gukesh. It's more than +1 advantage, 1.2, because the pieces jump in. Knight c5. The pressure is now huge. Because after rook to e7, there is already a good move for Gukesh here, which he didn't play. He chose not to. He wanted more. But here there is a good move for white to cash in the advantage. Knight takes pawn, rook takes, and then you take the free piece. So you win a pawn. And that gives a very good endgame chance, like +1 advantage. But Gukesh doesn't miss it. He goes for more, completely missing Ding's one chance. Both Ding and Gukesh missed it. So here, there is only one move for Ding to stay in the game. And it actually stays in the game. The advantage is only like 0.2 after that. That is knight to b4. Blocking of the activity of the rooks. You can win the pawn, but if you win the pawn, if you take the pawn, yeah, you've got three pieces, three attackers, three defenders. So you win the pawn, but now black's pieces become active and our pieces are kind of discoordinated. The knight is not able to come back easily. This rook is not active. This knight is very active. And now the problem, for example, if you push the pawn, looks like a natural thing, right? Then knight d5 with knight c3 threat. And if you, after knight d5, if you take the pawn, then bishop g7. And again knight c3 comes. So Ding gets counterplay. But unfortunately for Ding, he did not find that. By this time, both of them are in time pressure. Ding has got 7 minutes for the last, this is move number 20, let me see. I think it's, yeah, move number 28. So 12 more moves and he has got 7 minutes and Gukesh is 13 minutes. So Gukesh has a good time advantage and thank you so much Devdutt Kul. I appreciate your feedback. So let me come back. So this was his only chance for Ding, but Ding doesn't find it. The knight was, one second, let's go back. Knight was here. This knight is here and the pawn is still there on b7. So Gukesh has just played rook to b1 and here comes the biggest blunder I have seen in the World Championship by Ding. The position after he played, so instead of knight b4, there are other moves as well, like which will keep the game going but with an advantage for white, right? Because you can't stop this. So the only chance was this to keep it around equal, but there are other moves that don't blunder anything. But Ding with 7 minutes on his clock played queen to c8. Queen to c8. That too a little bit fast because he had to make 11 more moves to reach time control. Queen to c8. And now Gukesh pounces instantly. You should see that video where in the Chess Base India channel or in Chess 24, the winning moment for Gukesh. Gukesh doesn't even think, he doesn't hesitate. Gukesh doesn't hesitate. Instantly he finds one of the easiest puzzles you can solve in a World Championship. Queen takes c6. And Ding resigns. It loses on the spot for black. Because if queen takes, you just take back and you won a piece. Because of this pin. What if Ding had exchanged queens? Like where could he have exchanged queens? Then still white has a good position. You've got the open files. So it's still a very good position for white. Right? I mean all the pieces are active. So exchanging queens will also give a small advantage for white. But yeah, this is what happened and Ding resigns. If pawn takes, you take the rook and you win the queen. Right? You already took a knight. So you're up a lot of material, and that is why Ding resigned. And it's time to celebrate. Not for Gukesh because there's still 3 more games, but we can, right? So with 3 games left, Gukesh just needs 3 draws, and he would become the next world champion, the 18th world champion at 18 years old. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys liked the stream. See you next time.